Bismillah, wassalatu wassalam, Rasulullah, about the name of Allah, the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hate ads, welcome back to the features. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Salaam Alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a hell of haters up in this piece. And let me get the number ones in the chat if y'all can hear me. And let's get down to the nitty gritty. Now, family, yesterday we did a 2-part live based upon certain political takes of, the brother Tom Fakine. And is he happy for voting for Donald Trump? So we want to do basically a segue from that into this. And essentially, we've always said over here on this side of the universe that we don't necessarily trust or believe anything when it comes to this left-right paradigm. Okay. We know and we understand very well that the left-right paradigm is just a control mechanism. And the purpose of this left-right paradigm is to keep people, thinking that they have some sort of positions of power when in reality they don't. This phenomenon really started at the tail end of the century, tail end of the 1800s, early 1900s and whatnot. And one of the major thought leaders behind the crowd psychology, his name was Gustave Le Bon. Okay, that's what his name is, Gustave Le Bon, French guy. Okay, he was a Renaissance man and a genius of sorts. And he wrote this book called The Crowd. So we're going to read just a very quick passage out of his book. I'll show you what it looks like here. 1 second, y'all. Right. That's the book. It's called The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind by Gustave Le Bon. Okay. Or just in case you want to look at it. Okay. Just in case y'all, I know y'all are used to reading, text and, whatever's on your social media. But every once in a while, it's good to look at a piece of ink on a piece of paper and stuff, right? It's actually good for your brain. Okay. So we're going to read a little passage out of here, and then we're going to get into it, right? Because it's going to basically build up to what we're trying to see up in this piece, okay? So he says, right? He writes on this book here. The introduction of universal suffrage was exercised for a long time, but little influence is not, as it might be, though, the distinguishing feature of its transference of political power. The progressive growth of the process of the masses took place by first the propagation of certain ideas, and afterwards the gradual association of the individuals bent on bringing about the realization of theoretical conception. It is by association that the crowds have come to procure ideas with respect to their interests, which are very clearly defined, if not but particularly just, and have arrived at a consciousness to their strengths. The masses are founding syndicates there before the authorities. Before the authorities capitulate one after the other. I'll repeat that part, okay? The masses for founding syndicates before which authorities capitulate one after the other. Who capitulates? The authorities. Okay, he wrote this in 1895. Okay, he wrote this in 1895. Okay, one after the other. They're also founding labor unions, which, in spite of all economic laws, tend to regulate the conditions of labor and wages. They return to assemblies which the government is vested representative, utterly lacking initiative and independence, and reduced to most often nothing else than a spokesman of the committees who have chosen them. Now, why did you choose this particular passage to read, Brother Bilal? Because there's so much going on in this book. But I think right here, it pretty much summarizes what we are seeing in 2025. Okay? He mentioned the powers that be that capitulate. Do we not see power after power after power bending the knee to Donald Trump. We saw it with Mark Zuckerberg. We saw it with Sundar Pichai. We saw it with who else? Come on, y'all. Y'all know who I'm talking about, fam. Put it in the chat, y'all. But we see even with the media outlets, NBC, MSNBC, people just throwing money at Trump to avoid lawsuits and everything. Also, he mentioned here in his book that about the distinguishing feature. One of the distinguishing features is, hold on one second, let me just go back. 1 second, let me just try to find it 1 second here because I just read it. Let's say the introduction of universal suffrage, because he's talking about universal suffrage unions, all this kind of stuff, right? All right. Is not, as it might be thought, the distinguishing feature of this transference of political power. Okay. The progressive growth of power to the masses took place by first the propagation of certain ideas, which happened over what? Over a period of time. So certain ideas you introduce, and over a period of time, people start accepting these ideas. And with the advent of social media, these ideas can be spread into hyperspeed. Now we have a situation where the powers that shouldn't be have full control of all social media powers. Therefore, they will eventually have complete control of the way that the majority of people think. Because y'all ain't about to give us social media. Okay, and y'all ain't about to read books either. Let's just keep it a buck. Ain't nobody fitting to give up, social media, and nobody fitting to start reading books nowadays. You get it? We see now that Jeff Bezos bent the knee, Sundar Pichai bent the knee, Mark Zuckerberg bent the knee. We see that Elon Musk is running the government, right? It's really a you're not going to see the same thing that you saw in the past. If y'all still think that this is a democracy, you are fooling yourself. This is turning into fascism at hyperspeed. And I want to show y'all something before we get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Right? Now, just happened just today. I believe that today or yesterday. If you think I'm tripping, and I'm not tripping. But watch this, y'all. Let me get this up here. Now watch this. Watch what Donald Trump. Watch this new executive order that Donald Trump issued. Okay, brand new, hot off the presses, y'all. Watch this, y'all.
Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Watch this again. I'm going to watch it again, y'all.
Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Did you catch that? When you have your leader being the final authority of what the law is. What do you call that in the English language? See, Tika already got it before I even said anything. Yeah. That's crazy. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly the only one. That's exactly what it is. It's a dictatorship. He signed an executive order to do that. Now, I want to remind you. One second, y'all. I want to remind you of what he said 9 years ago, family. One second. Let me put it up here. One second, y'all. There we go. One second, family. Now, y'all saw that, right? One second, family. Let me just pull it up here. Where is it? There we go. All right. Let me remind you what he said 9 years ago.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Did you catch that? Here come Muslims for Trump. After all that. After all that. Now, family, we're going to see what Muslims for Trump are saying nowadays. Let's see what kind of tune they're singing today. Okay? One second, y'all. Oh my gosh, I am like tripping today. Oh my gosh. Like, subscribe, share me up on Patreon, family. Looky here, man. I'm getting old. Y'all got to be patient with me today, man. One second. Let me get this up, y'all. Y'all still here? What just happened? Y'all still here? One's in the chat if y'all still here, man. One's in the chat if y'all still here. Okay, all right. I lost connection there for a second, family. Sorry about that. Okay, we starting off dusty, but that's we haven't been dusty for a while. We haven't been dusty for a while, so this is this is definitely an improvement. So let me get this all up, man. One second, let me just share this. Watch this, family. I mean, these people are just, I don't know what to say, man. Look at here.
This was election night in November at a jubilant gathering of the Arab Americans for Trump Party in Dearborn, Michigan. See the man cheering in the gray sweater? That's Abe Tamimi. 3 months later, this lounge and Abe are far more reserved.
It's not doing well. It's not what we're expecting.
But Abe says he and the others here that night, and the majority of Arab Americans in Dearborn who voted for Trump, weren't necessarily cheering for him, but rather that his election could jolt the Gaza ceasefire talks, which seemed stuck under the Biden administration.
You're going to have peace in the Middle East.
And a brief appearance by Trump in Dearborn during the campaign certainly helped.
You can't make a promise to the people that, well, I don't want war and I'm going to stop the war, and then come in office and not do it and not deliver.
Is that so? Is that so? Is that so? You like, anyways, I don't want to talk too much, y'all. Let's keep watching.
He delivered.
How much credit Trump actually gets for the ceasefire is debatable, and since he won, he's made a series of seemingly anti-Muslim moves, including a desire to move Palestinians out of Gaza.
There's a lot of things that was promised to the Palestinian people when he was here, at least for the ceasefire, and it did happen. Now, what we've seen, he's been threatening a lot of the Palestinians to get out of Gaza. But little he knows, the Palestinian people are not going anywhere.
If he keep the war
Oh
and
gosh.
kick all the Palestinian out, yeah.
Couple of things. There's a couple of corrections here. The ceasefire happened under the Biden administration. Okay. And second of all, whatchamacallit? We saw what he said afterwards. Let's keep watching, y'all. You're gonna see this, all this stuff. Let's watch
We
it.
regret to support Trump.
You regret.
We support peace.
You regret. He regrets to support Trump. Well, you don't say. You don't say. By the way, for the Palestinian people, their genocide is being basically put on full display in front of the world. They have essentially the support of the world. The whole world is essentially behind Palestine. Everybody. It is not the Palestinian people that are kiboshing this support. It's folks like this. You don't have to garner any more support for Palestine. The whole world is behind them. The only country in the world right now to take Israel to the international courts was South Africa, black country. None of the Arab Muslim countries did it. Got a warrant out for Netanyahu's arrest, and President Trump invited Netanyahu, the first visitor, foreign leader to go to America, was Netanyahu with that arrest warrant. So the person you voted for doesn't support you. Never did. And we are living in a time when the lies are obvious. It's not like, back in the day where people were smooth with the lies. No, they are lying, and they're lying on purpose. They don't care about the truth. They care about being on code. So anybody who's siding with the liar is siding with the liar while knowing they are siding with the liar. And that's exactly what you did. Because instead of putting your trust in Allah, you put your trust in a system that is devilish behind the devil. But I digress. May Allah aid the Palestinian people. Ameen.
The Trump victory in Dearborn was a big turnaround for Arab Americans who had routinely supported Democrats previously, but were infuriated by the Biden-Harris embrace of Israel. The leader of the Arab Americans for Trump group told us on election night he was thrilled. But even he is harshly critical of Trump's desire to move Palestinians out of Gaza, but telling the Times of Israel that he blames Trump's aides more for that than Trump himself. So it may not be a full-on regret yet in Dearborn, but buyer's remorse is setting in. Andy Roseton, TRT World, Dearborn.
That's one. Let's watch another one. Can you imagine the guy who said Muslim ban?
Mixed emotions, you might say, for some of the Arab Americans who voted for him. Now, some of those voters,
The guy
President
who's
Trump's
talking
plan
about
to take
Muslim
over
ban
Gaza
got the
is
full support
causing
of
mixed
Muslims.
emotions, you might say,
That's so
for some of
crazy,
the
man.
Arab Americans who voted for him. Now, some of those voters are in Dearborn, Michigan, which has the largest Arab American population in the United States. In 2024, they flipped to President Trump, partly to protest President Biden's handling of the crisis in Gaza. CBS News national correspondent Nikki Batiste is in Dearborn, Michigan. I recall, Nikki, during prior to the election, that folks were calling President Joe Biden Genocide Joe. That was the terminology that was used about President Biden in the way that he was supporting the state of Israel in their attempts to root out terror on the Gaza Strip. And that's why many people felt that he wasn't the right man to be president of the United States, and so they voted for Trump. How are they reacting now to the fact that the president of the United States is suggesting that 2 million residents in Gaza be somehow removed from their land and the area turned into resorts?
Yeah, please tell us how they feel.
Vlad, you made a really good point. It's a point a lot of people here, even those who voted for Trump, want to make. We didn't vote necessarily for Trump. We voted against Biden. The reaction here is mostly outrage, some mixed emotion. I spoke with the public.
Did you hear what they said? We didn't necessarily vote for Trump. We voted against Biden. Like, what kind of political moves are these, right? Which goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, that certain powers will capitulate. You couldn't pay me enough for me to support a devil like this. With somebody with such a thick and clear resume of being devilish. And tell me that he's going to stop the war in Gaza. You must be tripping. But if you believe in a devilish system, then you would do silly moves like this, and then complain when it doesn't work out. Like you had like other options or whatnot, man. Like, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. How is it that the very same Zionist that you are fighting against, both you and the Zionists voted for this guy? Like, what? y'all gotta like I don't know, y'all are tripping. Anyway, let's keep watching, y'all.
Publisher of the Arab American newspaper here, Osama Simblani. I asked him, what is your reaction to these remarks from Trump? He didn't vote at all, but take a look at what he said.
Outraged. I could not believe that the president of the United States is uttering these words. Even Trump, I did not think that he would go this far, breaking international law and disregard to our own laws. We do not
breaking international law and disregarding our own laws. Who is this? Our own laws? These people talking crazy. Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
It's for grab. It's a Palestinian land. I was very shocked and surprised.
He made a point to tell.
Was anybody else in here shocked and surprised? You mean Donald Trump, he broke his promise? Donald Trump broke his promise? I'm shocked and surprised. And still, by the way, all of this was way before that Tom Fikini interview. And still, while all of these Arabs and Palestinians and everybody, Muslims, everybody, it's like, well, we regret Tom Fikini. Well, I'm happy.
Tell me he didn't vote at all for any presidential candidate. He usually does because he just didn't prefer either. I spoke with a young woman, a college senior who voted in her first presidential election. She did vote for Trump. She said when she saw his remarks on Gaza, she gasped and was initially shocked, but ultimately not surprised. And I said, do you regret in any way voting for him? And she said, maybe, but if I hadn't and Kamala Harris had won, maybe we wouldn't still have a ceasefire. Gives you some sense of the feeling here, Vlad.
Really quickly before you go, what do they plan?
These are like really delusional, this is such a delusional way of thinking. You get me? It's so delusional. All you did really, you wouldn't have swayed the election either way. But what you did is you garnered a type of soft power, soft support for things that were clearly and obviously not just against your best interest, but against the interests of the wider society, putting power in the hands of people who are not politicians, mind you. The current administration that you have right now, the Agenda 2025 people, these are not politicians. Let's be very clear. These folks are what you call it, businessmen, billionaires, corporate oligarchs, what you call Donald Trump himself is a real estate mogul. But you're not talking about politicians. They're not politicians. You handed the reins of power to very rich and wealthy men. And what happens when you give unrestricted, unfettered government power to billionaires? Well, you know what happens? And it happens every single time. Okay, the coffers of that government gets raided, which is going to happen. Mark my words. Your military and your policing apparatus will be privatized, and they will be essentially a security force for the same folks who don't deserve power that are in power to quell any type of resistance. This is what you got right now. You're welcome. You aided and better than that. All of these folks that have positions right now, all of them, none of them are politicians. They are loyalists. And when you are a loyalist, you do what you are told. You don't do what is already encoded and ingrained in law and the social order of that society. That's not what you do. So Donald Trump signing this executive order, as we saw in the beginning, essentially saying that only the president and the attorney general can interpret what the law is. He signed over 200 executive orders. And right up until now, predictably, nobody has been able to enforce any type of protections for the government or its people. Predictably. What do you think is going to happen to y'all? And you know what? You know what the only, ironically enough, the only type of saving grace that y'all got right now? You know what it is? Ironically enough, it's the very same Muslim and Arab countries that you keep trashing day in and day out. Okay. As we speak right now, Donald Trump is in, I think he's in KSA. Somebody could look it up. All right. He's in KSA speaking, having a closed door meeting with the Arab leaders about expelling millions of Palestinians from Palestine. You know, KSA ain't about to go for that. And if they come up to some sort of deal, if that happens, which is likely, it's not like out of the question, is actually quite likely, because as much as a stranglehold as the Zionists have on the U.S. government, they're not going to outbid KSA. That's not going to happen. You're not going to outbid KSA. As long as these folks are, pointing the finger at these Muslims, when they come out with a deal, which I suspect will happen, right? Are you going to thank the Muslim countries? Are you going to thank them? Are you going to thank these Muslim countries when they come out with a deal? I highly doubt it. It's a really an amazing time that we live in. Okay, they got all this work for all these Muslim leaders or whatever, and a lot of the cases, rightfully so. Yeah, these leaders, they just definitely deserve some work. However, they're not living in the Muslim countries anymore, anyways. And the country that they live in caused all the hell that you're catching in these Muslim countries, in the United Snakes of America, KKK. They're the ones who caused all this turmoil where you come from. But yet you still vote for probably the worst choice you could possibly think of, in terms of geopolitics. The very worst choice. Believing somebody who has countless lies, litigated how many times for the most egregious crimes. That's who you voted for. Like this y'all are tripping, man. Anyways, let's watch a different one, y'all. 1 second. Let's watch this one, man. 1 second, family. Watch this, y'all.
Everybody benefits off our fight. We got to stop being the spokesperson, the spoke group of people who we sacrifice ourselves for them to benefit. And when they get it, they don't know you. And for the love of God, can y'all stop saying that Donald Trump is dividing people of colors? That is bullshit. We've been divided before Donald Trump even ran for office. Stop using that as a scapegoat and as an excuse. We've been divided. And the mere fact that you're saying that we're divided, you knew that we were divided before then, but you're just now saying something now because it affects you. And miss me with the comments, you next. No, we first. You think we scared? We first.
Man, I need to rewind that one more again. I have to hear, man. She hit the nail right on the head with that. You think we scared? We ain't next. We first. We done been dealing with this. We were the ones who were warning you. You didn't want to listen to us. So here's to me drinking my Starbucks coffee guilt free. That's what it is. I gotta rewind that one more again. 1 second, y'all.
The fact that you're saying that we're divided, you knew that we were divided before then, but you're just now saying something now because it affects you. And miss me with the comments, you next. No, we first. You think we scared? We first. That's all I had to say, y'all. Black people, we got to stop doing that. We got to stop sacrificing ourselves for everybody else to have the benefit of it. Because they do.
Thank you. So it's not just me, right? It's not just me. That needs to end.
Not reciprocate that energy for us.
Hello guys and welcome to the Joy Report. Happy Black History Month to my fellow Black people. In today's video, we are going to talk about how Black Americans warned MAGA Arabs about Trump. It's a crazy situation. On one hand, you have Donald Trump openly telling Netanyahu to finish off Gaza. On the other, you have Arabs in Dearborn, Michigan endorsing him just months ago. You really can't make this thing up. Many Arab Americans, particularly Palestinian supporters, threw their weight behind Trump in 2024, believing he would push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, they're watching in shock as he shifts his stance and talks about taking over Gaza and relocating Palestinians. But here's the thing. Black Americans saw this thing coming a mile away, and they tried to warn them, but they just didn't.
In case you were confused, do y'all know a channel that was saying that Donald Trump was going to win, and he was going to win the way that he did for like 2-3 years now? Do you know somebody like that? Do you know somebody who's predicting that, Muslims will be voting MAGA and all that kind of stuff for years? You know somebody was, a channel like that by any chance? Do you know a channel like that by any chance? They were boycotting McDonald's, and Trump went and worked for McDonald's during his campaign, and they voted for it anyway. You can't make this crap up, man. You can't make this crap up, family. You can't make this crap up. This is total insanity. Anyways, let's watch, y'all. Let's keep watching.
Didn't listen. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing so that YouTube can recommend it to a wider audience. And so without further ado, guys, let's go straight into this video. But first, let's play a few clips on this matter and I'll come back with my commentary.
If you don't want to vote for Jill, vote for Donald Trump. But do.
Hey, mods, bump Mike, please. He's not going to do that here. Just bump him. Bump that old cracker. Grumpy old man. I don't know why he's coming on here trying to pick fights. What's your address? What is this, man? Dude's old enough to be my father. You talking like that in the chat on this channel. We don't do that here. I warned him many, many times. And here's the funny thing. If you're old and retired and stuff like that, why do you go to Muslim channels and Black channels just to troll them? Like, don't you got something? Don't you have a, don't you have like a Trump rally to go to or something like that? We out here, we're showing you respect. We're showing you manners, all kind of stuff. You out here asking folks for their address, you tough, all kind of stuff, want to fight, you scared, all kind of stuff in my chat over here. And the funny thing is, black folk can't get no peace. We can't get a break. We are here talking our things. Here come Mike talking about Khilafah, talking about, dictatorship for Khilaf, all kind of madness in the chat. Trying to rile up people. I'm just ignoring him, ignoring him. You know, being gracious with him because he's my elder and stuff. And then he bring that old country, good old boy talk. You want to, you tough, you scared, you right, all kind of stuff in the chat. Is you tripping right now? We seriously can't get a break. How much grace we showing this guy? Grace, hospitality, letting him on. You know, if you want to speak, you know, just be respectful, be respectful. Every time I see this guy, I gotta tell him, be respectful, be respectful, be respectful. And he can't wait. Not even 2 seconds, 3 seconds in, he trying to irritate the audience. And he ain't saying it. Every single time he comes, they say the same thing. You know, the same thing. Well, it looks like, you got a Khalifa here. You got a Khalifa, and the Islamic law and Sharia. And what about this Sharia? And we better not chop the head off the apostate. Like, come on, man. We're having a conversation here, family conversation. You're welcome to watch if you want to be respectful. You have a disagree with the topic at hand. We haven't mentioned Khalifa yet. We haven't mentioned Sharia law. I can't remember the last time we talked about Sharia law. Okay, I can't remember. Every single time you show up on this platform, Sharia. Khalifa Sharia. And I know the mods are just itching to bounce, Mike, itching. And I'm the one who's saying, listen, just show some grace. And now he want to pick fights in the chat, trying to get me in trouble. Give me a break, man. Go find one of those hog tie, country boy, rodeo channels to go and do that in. You do that in those channels? Do you do that in the good old boy channels? When you go to the Christian channels, you talk about Sharia law? Give me a break, man. Always, you cannot get a break from these folks. Always in our business. They can't help themselves. That the hate that they have is so inhuman. The hate that these folks have. Like it's beyond anything that any normal human being can imagine. Who sits there for years and years and years and years, planning the destruction of entire races of people, entire peoples, and then turn around and say, oh, well, Sharia law? Like what? Like, what are you talking about, man? This is how they do. These are the same folks that bring you, they're the ones who bring you 9/11 and call you the terrorist. They're the ones who come and exterminate millions and millions of natives on native land and then round up those same natives and ship them to other countries. These folks. They don't feel any guilt, any remorse, nothing. Everything that they say is some sort of gaslighting to make you think that you are crazy for thinking that they are some serious devilish people. Like you can't believe your lying eyes. When your lying eyes are looking at your dead children, your uncles in jail, your daughters being turned out in the streets, your people are strung. You can't believe your lying eyes. Your lying eyes. Don't trust that. Trust the person whose grandparents brought us Christianity so that he become an atheist to tell you about Sharia law. Trust that guy. Like what? And there will come a time, mark my words, there will come a time where we will not allow any of these pretend, dialectics in our platforms. We won't let any outsiders in. You are here because we are speaking the same language. You are a guest here and you act like that as a guest. So imagine how you act as a colonizer. Things that he would never allow to have happen in his house, he go to any other person's house and do the things, anything that he wants. This ain't your house. You wouldn't do that in your whatchamacallit. Your Outback Jack channels, wherever you watch your Trump rallies and stuff. You wouldn't do that. Man, I got so heated for that, man. Like, sorry, I know we got sidetracked a little bit, but let me tell y'all something, man. But black folk in general, we are really, really just like a gracious type of people. We invite everybody, and everybody really knows that. They really do. They really do. So they think that just come over here and like any kind of way have no manners, like they do, and they think that there's no consequence. We just niggas to them. We just niggas. They act like you with one. They act one way with you and a completely different way with their own. Totally different. I can't imagine going to one of these crackers channels, using my time just to troll. Like, I can't do that. I can't do that, man. Just killing the vibe. But this is how they do. If you see some of my videos, family, I'll put some videos out. Like this happened like maybe 4 or 5 days ago. Put a video out. Okay? A short. Do you know who this short went for my channel went on what you would say viral, right? It was about something about black victim mentality. Right? I put that as a short. I put that. Do you know who was it? Do you know who was watching that video? So, I'll give you a guess. Okay. Do you know who the majority of people watching the majority of people who were commenting on that video were? And when I saw it, I was like, I need to do way more videos like this. I need to do way more videos like this. To make a white supremacist lose their crap makes my day. Okay. It makes my day. They couldn't help themselves. They are sharing the video, leaving nasty comments, disliking the video, but they're making it go viral. Like, I need to do this more often, man. Like, what? I couldn't be one of those, but this is how they do. That's how they do. Just pure white supremacists. Because when they hear the truth to them is like fire in their ears. Because there's no truth in them. They have no issues at all murdering, killing, lying, stealing, and you name it, any type of human debauchery. They have no problem committing any of it if they'll achieve their goals. Not zero. So you're looking at them, you're thinking you're talking to another human, but you're not. You're talking to a devil. That's these folks. They're devils, man. They are straight up devils. They come here with the sole purpose to ruin your peace, to derail you. You know, to get you riled up, okay? Like I am right now. But you know, alhamdulillah, these platforms, they got, moderator options. We can just bounce you. We can just bounce you. I need to make more videos like that. Even a lot of Muslims, you remember when we started doing this, can you imagine Muslims telling me you shouldn't talk that black stuff? So wait a minute. We're talking to Palestinian stuff today. We're talking to Sudanese stuff today. We're talking to Kashmir stuff today. We're talking to Rohingya stuff today. We've been in this situation for, damn near 400 years, but we can't talk about that. Do you think that it's possible that we're in this situation for 400 because nobody's talking about it? Everybody gets to voice their grievances, their history. They get to talk about their history. The U.S., not just the U.S. government, but all of these white supremacist governments who have this history of white supremacy and white racism, all of them are trying to erase black people from their history. All of them. Everybody get to keep their history. We can't keep our names, our language, our religion, our God, our folkways, our mores, and we can't keep our history. Why do you think that is? We can't keep any of it. And here we are on this little channel. We're talking to family, and we can't keep our peace. Every single time you see a racist or a white supremacist or an Arab supremacist, you make sure that they don't get the peace. You are not in the wrong. What, you think white supremacists go to Jannah? Is that what you think? You think an Arab supremacist goes to Jannah? There's no paradise for these folks. Every single last one of them will be in the hellfire. Their only recourse is absolute and total unconditional repentance, and that's it. And don't let anybody trick you into thinking that you calling them out, and not just beyond calling them out, but fighting them with every ounce of your will and your spirit is wrong. You couldn't have a more open enemy of Allah on the earth than a white supremacist. Couldn't be more open. And anybody who is siding with them is doing haram as much as Allah wills. Anybody. And don't let anybody tell you differently. Don't let anybody tell you that they happy that Trump won because we got to suffer just a little bit more. And think this is good political strategy. Because they got, nice sounding words and very well spoken and soft spoken and intelligent, all that kind of stuff, and degrees and all that kind of stuff. Wrong is wrong is wrong. You can't go educate yourself past wrong if it's wrong. Okay, no amount of degrees or money that you got is going to make wrong right. Audacity, family. It's like outrageous, total audacity. And this is from the plots and the plans of the enemy anyways. The enemy has perfected divide and conquer tactics. The most powerful divide and conquer tactic in human history has been implemented by white supremacists. Whereas the religion of truth, the religion of Allah, is the one thing that unifies people, explicitly unifies people, gives clear guidelines of what is necessary for unifying all people, despite color, country, language, race, despite all of that, even religion. Allah says the Quran, "La ikraha fi din, qad tabayyana rushdu min al-ghayy," right? That there's no compulsion in religion. The truth is clear from the falsehood. It's the only thing that unites everybody in a very clear, unfettered manner. So when you find folks uniting on some absolute weird stuff and trying to justify it, just because they can speak well doesn't make it right. Rip away the rhetoric, rip away the nice words and all that kind of stuff, rip all that stuff out and get down to the nitty-gritty of what they're saying, and is it correct or not? This is how you got to deal with people nowadays, man. You get like, once you show them some grace and they disrespect that grace, stop showing them grace. Just stop, man. That's the problem. Like, why are you afraid to call out wickedness if it's wickedness? Folks come in here as guests and they want to ruin the hospitality that you showed them. Okay, let them know what time it is. It's not like the first time. It's like 1, 2, 3. Like every single time you coming on, you're trying to rile up the chat, rile up the guests and everything like that. Rile them up. How long you think that was going to last for over here? You might get away with that with other nice folks like Jordan M, way nicer than me. But I told you before, I'm not that nice. And now you're gonna learn, right? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna learn. Man's old enough to be my father talking about you want to fight. I'll give me your address, all kind of craziness. Talking crazy over here. The only person that's allowed to talk crazy over here is me. Okay? This is the Feachaz channel, not the Mike Mozan channel. You want to talk crazy like that? Make the Mike Mozan channel. Invite the Muslims. You start teaching them about Sharia and Islamic law and all the kind of stuff and Khalif. Do that like the rest of the apologetics do. And that's what you want to do. Sorry for that rant, family. Let's get back down to the nitty-gritty. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon, family. Let's keep going.
Not give a vote to Kamala Harris and expect to be welcomed by my community.
Palestine is central for some voters to decide how to cast their vote in the polling booth. But with war raging in the Middle East, can Kamala Harris convince some of them to back her campaign?
Do either of the candidates have a voice that you can ally yourself with?
And none of the major candidates, absolutely not. They're both the same.
She says words such as self-determination, and too many Palestinian lives have been lost, as if there is a number that's acceptable. And I don't understand how my people's lives are lost, as if they can't be found, instead of them being deliberately targeted by the very weapons that she continues to fund and to send.
To all of you who are blaming us Arabs for Kamala losing, I'll tell you this. Kamala had everything already. All she had to do was...
That's not a thing. That's the other thing. I don't think anybody blamed the Arabs for Kamala Harris. Did that happen? I don't think that happened. I saw a black man getting blamed as usual. black folks getting blamed, all kind of stuff. I don't think anybody really, I think the Arabs weren't even a blip on the radar. Really. Ain't nobody finna look for no Arabs for Donald Trump winning and Kamala Harris losing, right? But like I said, especially immigrant Muslims, they're delusional, man. They really think if you anytime you rinse their ears, they believe they that. They believe that they really that. They believe that. They believe they it. Just rinse their ears just a little bit. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Stop sending billions of dollars to a foreign country. All she had to do was listen to the people, and she refused to do so. She shut down her voices time and time again. What did you think was going to happen? She's a grown woman. She made her choice, and she dug her own grave, and that's it. It has nothing to do with us. Particularly Palestinian voices were even talking about not endorsing the red and blue parties. And what do, some of you? You vote for the parties that are hurting them in the first place. Did Palestine teach you nothing, or do you just not care about them?
To make one thing very, very, very clear. We are going to do everything in our power to make sure Kamala Harris doesn't win. Vote for, if you want Donald Trump to win, say that. Bitch, I will vote for Satan if I have to.
God damn. I'm like, what? This is what they're saying in public. They recording this. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? They are ready to sell their souls. I'll vote for Satan if I have to. Like, word? Well, you did, actually. So you did actually do that. So, like, goddamn. Man, you see stuff like that, you just run, man. Run. Run. How can you be brothers with stuff like this, family? But yeah, you did actually vote for Satan. So I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Satan doesn't need to use Trump as a front man anymore. Satan 2028. Exactly. Well said, Ask Faisal. Well said, man. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Remember, no one's free until we're all free. And we can't protect ourselves if we can't protect each other. This is the time for all the minorities.
He's black. You hear that? They turn black and everything. Nobody's free until we're all free. Like, what? I wonder where you learned that from. Like, come on, family.
All the movements, all the working class to come together and really build power and really fight against the fascism that's been here, but finally popping its head out and being loud and proud about it. And unless we do something, really come together, it's gonna get real bad.
I came home.
See, this is what I mean. Like, you had the support. Everybody was supporting you. And then you opened your mouth. Like, why'd you have to speak? You already had the support. You didn't need to get more support. Whoever wasn't supporting you before isn't going to support you now. The whole world saw what's going on in Palestine. But then you started speaking, and the people, who were supporting you, they're looking at you with the side eye now. They're looking at you funny because you opened your mouth. I will vote for Satan if I have to. Can't make this crap up. Let's keep watching, y'all.
The day I met Trump, and I gave my son a MAGA hat, and I said, I guess we're there. And he said, ew. His first words to me were, ew. I said, but Baba, he said he's going to stop the war. And he said, okay, that's it. Give me that hat. We're voting for Trump. And that's the sentiment, not just of an 8-year-old, but of an entire community. If you're going to stop the war, even if I don't like you, I'm on your team.
There's no.
Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
She said, if you're going to stop the war, I'm going to support you. Do you guys know when a candidate whose whole entire platform was about stopping the war? You guys know a candidate like that? And ironically enough, we said in this channel, we don't believe in this system. We believe that your vote, no matter who you vote for, is not going to stop the genocide. You're not going to end the genocide at the polls. However, if you're going to vote, at least vote for the candidate that is openly telling you they're going to stop the war. If that's what your goal is to do, just vote for the candidate that's saying, you know what, we are going to stop this war. Do you guys know a candidate like that? Instead of voting for that candidate, you vote for Donald Trump. Like what? What? You are tripping, man. The Green Party, yeah, Jill Stein. It was Jill Stein. Jill Stein and Bilal Ware. They were the only ones who ran an open campaign. Their entire strategy was to stop the war in Palestine. That was their campaign strategy. And you didn't vote for them. And now you're surprised. Anyways, I digress. Let's keep watching, y'all.
An argument to say that if the Arab American, Muslim American voter base in Michigan doesn't turn out for Harris, that could create a path to a Trump presidency. How does that make you feel?
You know, it doesn't make me feel any way. I think that the Democratic Party should be punished for supporting this genocide. And I know that a lot of people will vote for Trump because they want to punish the Democratic Party because, you know, especially in Dearborn voted Democrat the last election, and it's been a disappointment to the people. The Democrats did nothing but let down the Arab American and Muslim American population. They did not listen. They are not listening to what we want, what we're saying. We've been, you know, protesting the streets all over.
And y'all about to get deported. Okay? I'm just saying. Y'all are about to get deported. Yeah, Mike, what you got?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? What you got?
So I don't know. What was the big brouhaha in the chat there?
You don't know? You're asking people for their address, talking about you're going to fight and stuff?
No. So BU7 MAD something name, like I thought made a threat to me, and like where you at or something. I gave him my address. I said 12631 Frank Drive
Mike,
South, Seminole, Florida.
Mike, before you continue, okay?
Okay.
You are old enough to be my father, okay? You're
Man,
coming over here.
I'm only 55.
Whatever. Like, if you're 55, oh my gosh, man, then I look amazing. Okay?
You do. Well, black don't crack. That's what they say.
But you can't come over here doing that stuff as a guest. This is not that channel.
Okay.
All right. You can't do that. All right. We've been giving you grace. We've been, basically telling our members here to be patient, and you're killing the vibe.
Okay.
Right. Don't come over here and kill the vibe because you're just gonna get blocked. Right. We are not those guys. I'm not nice like Jordan B. I told you that before. I'm not nice like him.
Okay.
Right. We got too many trolls, too many troublemakers. Right. If you want to be a guest, be a guest. If you have a contention, bring your contention. But don't come over here talking about Sharia law and the Khilafah every single time you come over here. And we ain't talking about that. We're talking about Palestinians today. You talking about Khalifa in the chat. Why? Because you're trying to rile up the chat. You're trying to get a rise out of the people in the chat. That's why you're trying to do it.
Well, that's true. But also you mentioned like Donald Trump. What do you call that? A dictator. And so I said, oh, sounds like a Khalifa, right?
A Khalifa's a dictator, Mike?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, So you
A
could say
Khalifa is a dictator. Chat, is a Khalifa a dictator?
do they not have all power?
A Khalifa has all power?
Sure.
Okay, so a Khalifa has all power. Explain to me how many Khalifas were assassinated with all that power.
Oh, well, 3 of the first 4 rightly guided caliphs were assassinated.
And they were did anybody in their time classify them as all powerful dictators? If they got assassinated?
I don't think the word dictator existed at the time, but they had all power.
The word that they would have used at that time is called zalim, oppressor.
Okay, well,
nobody in history classified a Khalifa as a dictator except for Mike Molzan here in 2025.
Okay, so
right?
Yazid the First wasn't a dictator. The Battle of El Harar.
He was classified as what I just said, a zalim, an oppressor.
Okay, well, if you watch many scholars, Yasser Ghadi, other people have said we don't, criticize him. What was his father's name? Began with an M, Muwati or something.
Mike, why are you out here talking about Muawiyah, man? We're here trying to talk about Palestine. I just explained to you that Khilafah doesn't mean dictator, right? Khilafah just means the leader of the Muslim body. That's it. That's all the Khilafah is. Khilafah, the literal meaning of Khilafah is successor.
Okay.
That's the literal meaning of Khilafah.
Okay.
Khalifa. It means successor, right? So the one who succeeded the Prophet, peace be upon him, in leadership.
Okay.
Right. And then you have the first 4 Khalifas,
right,
who were
appointed
by the wider Muslim body.
Ali, right. Right.
So now
was killed by a Persian slave.
You're making comparisons of Donald Trump to Muawiyah. You're making comparisons to Yazid. And one Yazid, as bad as he is better than 1 million Donald Trumps. And Yazid was very bad. He was very, very bad. Not a single Muslim in here is going to what you would call it, give props to Yazid.
Okay. I just when you asked what do we call that, talking about Donald Trump having all power.
Here's the thing, Mike. You are intentionally trying to misunderstand the meaning of Khilafah and superimpose this misunderstood meaning of Khilafah into the discussion because you just want to rile up the Muslims. That's it. So now that you have done that, are you finished? Can we continue with our family discussion now?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
Put me off. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you letting me.
You're welcome, Mike.
All right.
Over the United States, and Kamala Harris removed a Muslim from, her rally, and I just think that, she should be punished. The Democratic Party should be punished.
So, as you've seen from the clips, many Arabs and Muslims alike were so pro-Trump. I mean, did they forget the Muslim ban? It's wild that anyone thought Trump would be a friend to Arabs. Have they forgotten that one of the first things he did in office was impose the Muslim ban? Back in 2017, he blocked travelers from several Muslim-majority countries, making it clear that Muslims were not welcome in his version of America. That should have been enough proof that he was never on their side.
Well, make America great again. Let's keep watching, y'all.
But somehow, in 2024, some Arabs still decided to back him. Why? Because he made a flashy campaign promise about ending the war in Gaza. Now, they're realizing that was just another one of his lies. Now, Palestinians who voted for Trump literally voted to end Palestine. Some Palestinian Americans believed that Trump would be their guy. They thought he would step in and negotiate peace. But let's be real. Trump has been one of the most pro-Israel presidents in U.S. history. He moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and pushed for the Abraham Accords, which benefited Israel more than Palestine. So what did they think would happen? Now, he's talking about taking full control of Gaza and pushing Palestinians out. The very people who voted for him are watching their homeland disappear. If there's one thing Black Americans know well, it's how politicians use minority groups for votes and then discard them once they're in power.
Thank you. Nobody knows this better than Black folk. Did y'all hear what she said? Let me rewind it one more again. Right? Listen to what she said, family.
control of Gaza and pushing Palestinians out. The very people who voted for him are watching their homeland disappear. If there's one thing Black Americans know well, it's how politicians use minority groups for votes and then discard them once they're in power. They've seen it time and time again. They warned
Exactly.
mega Arabs that Trump's promises meant nothing. Black voters in 2020 saw through his so-called Platinum Plan for Black America, which was nothing more than a political stunt to get their votes. They knew he had no real intention of following through. And guess what? He did the exact same thing with the ceasefire promise to Arabs. He dangled hope in front of them, got their votes, and is now betraying them. Black voters knew better than to trust Trump's fake promises, telling Black people that he would fix the economy for them, bring jobs to their communities, invest in Black businesses. It was all talk, just like how he told MAGA Arabs he'd bring a ceasefire. Those who believed in him.
By the way, every election they say that anyways. They've been saying that since the 60s. Every election they say that. Yes, particularly the Democrats. Right? They say that every single election. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Him are feeling betrayed. But the truth is, Trump never cared about any of these communities. He just knew how to play the game to win votes. Some pro-Palestinian activists try to guilt-trip Black Americans by saying if they voted Democrat, they're supporting genocide. That's just not true. Black people have never supported genocide. They've always stood against oppression. But trying to manipulate them into aligning with a political movement without acknowledging their own struggles, that's not okay. You can't just demand solidarity while ignoring the ways anti-Blackness exists in your own communities. Here's another thing. Some Palestinians act like Black Americans owe them endless support, but let's not forget that racial segregation exists in Palestine. Black Palestinians are often treated as second-class citizens. So while many Black Americans have stood beside Palestine, the question is, when has Palestine ever stood beside them? The same people calling for Black support now have...
And this is what's being said more and more and more in Black circles, right? If y'all keep aware of the new Black media and whatnot, because Black people, even before Arabs in the West, were front and center for Palestine. Way, way back, before you heard any other people group, before you heard anybody really, right? It has always been Black people. Way back in James Baldwin time, Malcolm X time, Martin Luther King, who else? So many. Fred Hampton. From way back then, when it wasn't even popular, when it wasn't, when the government and the media had a death grip on the messaging coming out of Palestine. Back then, when there were no videos and media coverage or anything like that. Way back then, you have recordings of Black leaders standing front and center for Palestine. Okay, front and center. In 2025, the loudest voice, the loudest Palestinian voice, anyways, that has been for Black people and Black causes was was and is still Dr. Umar Suleiman. He's always been front and center for Black folk. Always. In Palestine, the Palestinians in Palestine, they've always rocked with Black causes. Always. When George Floyd popped up, even the Palestinians, as bad as their situation was, they were standing up for George Floyd. Syrians, same thing. They're going through a war and making murals of George Floyd in Syria. Same thing. But they get over here now. This is what they were asking. Because in the Black communities, what they see a totally different thing. They see in whatchamacallit, Palestinians going into the Black community, open up shop and selling loose cigarettes and pork in these convenience stores and stuff like this. What they seeing. This is what they seeing. And they're right there in the Black community. They're like literally right there. And it's the Black people that are standing up for Palestine, but the Palestinians are nowhere to be seen for Black folk. So you're seeing this kind of pop up all over the new Black media, this type of situation here. Because we're looking, okay, well, where you at? Where you at? Where are your receipts? Where are your receipts for standing for black folk? But what you are doing now is you're telling black folk that they must stand up for Palestine. And that's why we are saying that y'all are about to lose your support, because you are doing too much now. You didn't have to do anything. You had to support. All you had to do is now work to actually end the fighting in Gaza. That's all you had to do. Everybody's supporting you, and now you out here talking. You get me? So it's like we're not gonna stop, rocking with Palestine ever, never, 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 ever. We rock with oppressed people internationally, regardless. But don't confuse the oppressed people in Palestine and oppressed people in Syria with Palestinians and Syrians in the West. Okay, they are not the same. They are not the same. This is what we're saying. When I was in Saudi, every Syrian I met, I liked every single last one of them. Every Syrian, like, they're just amazing people in Saudi, right? But in the West, Syrians is like it's like a crapshoot. You get me? It's a crapshoot because they're just not the same. They get over here and they start getting into that social destruction of what the West is. You get me? So even on paper, they will classify themselves not as Arab, but well, they can't do that anyways. But they classify themselves as white. They believe that stuff. That's how it is over here. They believe that stuff. They believe that they white, like European white. That's what they believe. You understand? So the things that made them, like amazing people in the East, just absolutely amazing. I loved every Syrian I met in Saudi Arabia. Loved them. Just totally. And they're not rich people in Saudi, mind you. They're like, they're kind of the poorer class, the poor Arabs, whatever they do. They work in like a lot of them will work in restaurants and barbershops and whatnot. You know what I mean? Some of them become teachers or whatever, right? But they're just so nice. Like, even when I was in Yemen, I liked Yemen more than I liked any other place I've ever been to. I've been to several different countries, okay? Out of all the countries I've been to, my favorite countries I've ever been to were probably Yemen number one, Kenya number two, and then, or maybe Trinidad number two and Kenya number three, right? But Yemen is the poorest country I've ever been to, right? And I love Saudi too. Don't get me wrong. I lived in Saudi for 9 years. I love Saudi. Right? Absolutely love Saudi. I love the people. I love the food. Saudi is just like, it's a place for families. Yeah, I really, really like Saudi, right? But as much as I like Saudi, I like Yemen more, even though it's like dirt poor. And the reason why I felt that way is because those people, as poor as they are, they're so poor, okay? They are some of the most, you can't imagine how content these people are. Like, you can't even describe it. Anybody who's been in Yemen can tell you. They can tell you about the people of Yemen, okay? So content, like so happy with life, and you know what I mean? And like, if you go to Yemen, you'll see people that are so poor, right? He's eating food in a small bowl, right? He's eating a food in a small bowl. And that might be the only meal he's having for the day, right? And he is telling you, because you are a foreigner, he's telling you to fadl mana. He doesn't even see that you're black, okay? He don't see it, right? I never witnessed racism in Yemen, okay? I seen it in Saudi sometimes, but never in Yemen, not one time, okay? He's not looking at you as a black person. He's just looking at you as a Muslim, He's not seeing that blackness. You get me? He's seeing you as a guest. That might be his only meal for the day. He's telling you to follow me, let me come here and eat with me. And he's not joking. He's dead serious. He wants you to share with this only meal you might be having for the entire day. He's dead serious. You know, you can't buy that type of contentment, you know, because they carry, most Yemenis anyways, they will carry the religion as stamps on their hearts, you know what I mean? Like they even though they're different madhab and whatever, they have a certain respect for Islam, all of them, right? Even the Zaydis there. When I was in Sana'a, when the time for Salah came, you just pray in the masjid. You don't know if you're going to a Shia masjid or a Sunni masjid. You're just praying. The only times you can tell is because the Shia masjids, they have this type of, it's like a pool, a haud, like a type of pool, right? Where you walk into this pool to wash your feet. But it's kind of gross, but hey, they got it, right? I didn't like, but that's the only way you could tell, right? But the adhan is the same. The prayer, if you're going to pray, you can't tell. You really can't tell, and nobody really cares anyways because they go to pray. You know what I mean? And the biggest nuisance, and anybody who's been to Yemen can tell you, the biggest nuisance with the Yemenis, the biggest nuisance is qat. Ask anybody about qat. Okay, qat is like I think it's like in English they call it maybe horny goat weed or something. I don't know what it is, right? But it's a type of plant, right, that they chew like tobacco, and it's like a stimulant. You get me? Right? And it's disgusting. It's really gross, right? It's really disgusting. It ruins their teeth, right? It makes their teeth all yellow and black and all kind of stuff, and you know, but they chew that day and night. You know what I mean? That's like the biggest nuisance. But other than that, like, whew, man, these people they were just really good people, really, you know, just hospitable and content and nice, and you know, never like you can't imagine it like over here. You know, people just very happy to help you. You know what I mean? Of course, you have everyone because they're poor people that try to, you know, get some money out of you and everything. But you can be patient with that. You know what I mean? Right over here now, we got folks coming into our chat trying to rile us up. That's what it is over here, family. You know what I mean? The Yemenis come over here, they talking about we voting for Donald Trump. It's just different people, man. Totally different people. They come over here and the West changes them. You know, really wealth and you know, the dunya, it changes you. You get me? Or what it does, I can't say really it changes you. What it does when you get wealth, when you get money, what it does is that you are more likely to monetize the bad habits that you have. You're more likely to monetize that because it fits more with stimulating your euphoria, right? So you get more involved into things that Allah hates, like racism. Like you're very quick to accept white supremacy because you want to get in good with Zaddy. You want that money. You get me? And the ruling class right now is Zaddy, but they're not going to be the ruling class for much longer. Pretty soon, you know, they're going to lose everything. And the Muslim is the one who is at position best to pick up the pieces when that happens. But as it stands now, when you have Muslims signing off on white supremacy, it will never happen because they are backing a sinking ship. White supremacy is on its way out. Despite this is why you see all of these governments you know, basically becoming fascist now, becoming far right. You know what's happening in Canada right now as we speak? Since Donald Trump did all his madness, in 1 month, there's been a massive shift in the polls here in Canada. Massive shift. Now, we were saying that, the political party that will win is the progressive conservative. They're like the conservative party over here, right? That might not be the case anymore, because the Paul Poilievre, he's just a carbon copy of Trump, and the Canadians are seeing what's happening. They don't want that. They're basically signaling they don't want to deal with this white supremacy.
No, I got it.
You know what I'm saying? So I go, Abdullah. Abdullah, can you hear me? I think Abdullah's camera got COVID, man. Right? We're gonna wait for Abdullah, right? I'll put the link in the chat if somebody else want to hop in here.
No, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, all right. What you got for us, Sheikh?
Salaam Alaikum, brother. You and everybody who is on the chat listening, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, let me just play devil's advocate a little bit and flip the coin. Let's say right now we are playing like, Monday quarterback. You know what I mean? Let's say like, even these Arabs or like, these Michiganders or these Muslims, they even put their own interest because they live here with amongst us. Now it's really affecting them, what Trump is doing, aside from even Palestine. You know what I mean? So they even put their own interest above everything else and believe this devil, right? And it's not like you said earlier. This one is not the first time we ever saw. But if you look in a way, all throughout our history, how many years have the one so-called Democrats have been lying to us as black people in this country? All our lives. I mean, we never had one single president who was honest about anything he run. Correct? Or am I wrong?
Yep.
So it happened to us, and it just happened to them. So we tell them, welcome home. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? You just latecomers and you're just figuring out the game. This goes first defeat to you. Just make sure you don't continue through this path and find out what you really need to do. Because if there was a Democrat or Kamala Harris or like anybody else, or even like her running mate from Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, even end up in there, they would have continued the same history that they have done it before. They don't even understand the state of Israel was created by the United States, and they just doing the purpose and the responsibilities that they were created for. And right now, you mentioned like the devil is meeting with Netanyahu over there and the Arabs. What do you think Arabs are going to say right now? I am sure they're going to agree with him, not knowing that tomorrow Netanyahu, when he takes over Palestine and Gaza, he's not going to stop over there. He's going to say, where is the next, to invade next? He will never stop. This guy started with Saddam Hussein. He wants to take out any Muslim nation. Even he wants to drive his, like, freaking, I don't even know what philosophy he has, but this Zionist idea that he owns that Middle East land. If you look in that, like, in the horizon, is the way they're thinking, it's not going to stop over there. They're not just going to take Gaza, kick Palestinians out and say Egypt and Saudi, you guys are safe. You guys are our buddies. You guys are our friends. No, they are expanding to Mecca and Medina. That's their objective. I don't understand. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, for when it comes to the geopolitical end, I disagree with you there, right?
Okay.
For sure, the Arab nations, the whole reason why they invited Trump there is to prevent him from doing that plan that he wants to do, right? That's the whole point of him. And today's Saudi Arabia is not like yesterday's Saudi Arabia. It's not the same, right? Today's Saudi Arabia is very nationalistic. Mohammed bin Salman, he's a nationalist. He is a hardcore nationalist. He's not necessarily somebody who's thinking about the wider Muslim community or anything like that. He's thinking about the Saudis and the Saudis specifically, right? Sisi, he's the same way, right? And he's a military man, right?
Yep.
He's the same type of way, right? They are not looking to basically agree to what Trump is saying, right? And the difference between Saudi Arabia and what's going on in the West is that Saudi Arabia actually has the pull and the weight to actually make Trump change course. So what I was saying was that if Trump comes back, which is not far fetched, and I think it's more likely than not that he will end up changing his mind because Trump is for the highest bidder, and the highest bidder today is Saudi Arabia. It's not
Anybody else?
It's not anybody else. It's not the Zionists. Yeah, you're not going to outbid Saudi, right? So if he cuts a deal with Trump, right, that is just too good to to refuse, right? Are you going to find the Muslims thanking the Muslim leaders of the world, right? Are you going to find that? Because they spend a lot of time talking about the Muslim leaders, and the Muslim leaders, I'm not saying they're good, they're pretty bad, right? Because they've been placed.
They don't even know what the call is about. That's what I mean. My point. They don't even know the enemy is creeping up on them, and now they're actually sitting down and negotiating. The guy whose idea was, "I'm gonna build resorts in Gaza and kick everybody out."
Yeah, but
I'm
what's happening right now? What happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago is not the same anymore because there are new global powers creeping up in the East, right? You have the BRICS nations. So America is no longer the only game in town, and all the Arab nations are seeing that, and they're noticing, and they're leaning more towards the BRICS nations.
But I can tell you, brother, I can tell you one thing. Even as late as yesterday, China has given fighter jets to Egypt.
Yeah.
Do you think Egypt is going to use against Netanyahu? No. They're going to believe
They're going to avoid it, but if China's giving them jets, that is essentially saying that sending a message to America that we don't need you for weapons anymore.
But the reality of the fact is, the reality of the fact is, they're not going to use. They're not going to go to war with Israel. I guarantee you that one, because all our history it proves. Even right now, Netanyahu was putting them under the bus, saying they the ones who blocked the border when he's the one who blocked the border, and they couldn't even speak back at him and say like, "No, you're the one who did this."
Yes, it's because of the agreement that happened in the 60s. What's that agreement called? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Right. But all of this is neither here nor there, right? The point is that America is no longer the only game in town for the Arab nations. They're not, right? And America will lose its grip that it has on the Arab nations.
It already lost everywhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. They will lose
everywhere in the world. But it's the Arab nations that are still licking their boots.
And you got to remember that Trump, like I said in the beginning of the stream, he's not a nationalist. Elon Musk, who is running the government, he's not a nationalist. These are not people that are worried about nation and country. And these are billionaire
Zionists. They worry about their Zionism and their KKK and their
they're
hatred.
not ideological. Elon Musk is not ideological, and Donald Trump is not ideological. If Elon Musk is more ideological than Donald Trump, but he's not Zionist ideological. He's not a Zionist for sure. He's not. Right. He's more on the Nazi side. Right.
Yeah.
Elon Musk. Right. So, but at the same time, they are trying to consolidate their own personal power. Right.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Because
for their own personal gain.
Yeah. The jig is up in the West. Right. America is no longer the global power. Right. They recognize that. They're going to raid the coffers of the United States citizens, right, through what they're doing in terms of raiding all of these government agencies and whatnot, firing all of these government oversight groups. Now, the whole point of that is to consolidate the public power into personal power. That's what, and we mentioned that already, right?
Yeah.
These are not people who are concerned with borders or anything like that, right? And their fight in the West is essentially making the West into a sort of like a solid block from Canada all the way down to like South America.
Yeah, kingdom, basically kingdom.
Yeah, something like this, right?
Yeah,
like
yep.
this, so in order to rival BRICS, right? Which is
Yep.
why they're acting crazy like this. You get me? They're finished with the EU. They're finished with the European Union. They're finished with all that stuff, right?
Yep.
You get me? So
Did you see the meeting with King Abdullah a few weeks ago
no,
with Trump?
no, what happened?
Yeah, King Abdullah Jordan. He came to the White House and basically just said whatever. Yes, sir. Basically, yes, sir.
I think that so I saw that, yeah, King Jordan, but I think he was caught off guard. It was clear to me that he was caught off guard, right? And that's why he was speaking like that.
Yeah, and
but
just
he's not fitting to let 1 million Palestinians into Jordan. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hate to be optimistic about the Arab nations, but unless they pick up their crap and get together, this thing is not going to stop. They have all the money in the world, they have all the weapons in the world, and none of them has not even veto power. None of them can say, no, this is what you, it's absurd. We can't do it. None of them can say that.
Well,
but like you said,
again, when geopolitically, when you're talking about all the money in the world, like what do you really mean? Because if you're talking about the petrodollar is the USD, which is the money they have. If you're talking about weaponry, the weaponry comes from America. Right?
Yep. And they can dismantle it anytime they want to. Shut it off.
So the weapons that they're buying from America's supplying those even more weapons to Israel. So
without a doubt,
they're not trying to fight Israel. They're not trying to do that, right? Because you're not going to beat Israel at this point in time militarily, but you can beat them economically, which is what I'm sure what's going on in Saudi Arabia. I'm positive they're looking to economically make a deal with Donald Trump. That's my opinion, but we will see when he gets back and what happens, right? May Allah reward you and bless you, multiply for 1,000,000-fold. Sister Tika with the $5 super chat. Hayakum Allah. And she says, yesterday and today have been great. May Allah increase you. Ameen, ameen, ameen.
Ameen. So my last point, so I can give my other brothers and the chat their chance, their time.
Yeah.
What I think is, like, when he comes back and you watch it, he'll brag about it and say, "Karab, that didn't even happen." He'll be like, "Well, they came and licked my boots and they said everything that I wanted to do, yes." And they will come back and say, "He's lying," and we're gonna leave it like that. And things will never change.
I highly doubt that. I think that the Arab nations are going to try to make a deal with Donald Trump. He's either going to say yes or no. That's it. Right?
Okay.
If he says yes, will the Muslims now thank the Muslim leaders for making this deal? Right. I don't think that they will. Right. If he says no, that's going to be a bigger problem to not the Arab world, but to Israel directly. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to signal like actual hostility with the Arab world and the Israel. And Allah knows best, but we won't know until
things came up.
Those things come up.
Jazakallah khair. It was nice talking to you. I'm glad I came here tonight. Jazakallah khair. Everybody have a good night. Assalamu alaikum. Always learning. Always learning.
Sheikh Abdullah. Baby shake.
Oh yeah. Jazakallah khair. Not even baby shake. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, family. We'll go up for a couple more minutes because it's getting late. It's like 9:39. We've almost been 2 hours here, and then we'll call it a day, right? So let me just get this up in here. 1 second, y'all. All right, let's keep going.
Rarely shown up when Black people needed solidarity. At the end of the day, Black people in America have every right to put themselves first, especially Black women, who are constantly at the forefront of every fight for justice, yet rarely get the same support in return. The pro-Palestine,
I would say especially Black men over Black women, to be honest. Right. That's the only correction I would make with the sister, especially black men, because she might not be familiar with what's going on with the West, right? But the black women have been afforded certain opportunities by this white supremacist system, which intentionally is meant to lock out black men from sustainable employment, certain gains, all that kind of stuff, right? So all the way from women's suffrage, when we talk about the feminist movement was grounded in actual white supremacy. Okay, the whole reason behind women's suffrage was because black men were allowed to vote. That's why that whole thing started. Right, black men were allowed to vote. White women got mad, and they started what is known as the women's suffrage movement, and saying, "We women want to vote. We who women? We white women." Okay, how are you going to let Sambo and them vote before us? And white men was looking at them like they crazy. Like, why you need to vote for? Why do you need to vote for? You at home, taking care of kids. You are basically a protected. You have a protected status, in this country. That's what they were telling them. Like, it don't make sense. You're not going to war. You're not the soldiers. You're not, you don't have to work. You don't do any of this stuff. It's the men that are doing that. Why you need to vote for it? Right? That's what the men they're kind of like what's the logic behind this? The whole logic was because you are letting black men vote. You're letting black men vote. How can you let black men vote before white women? That's what they said. Read K.D. Lang. Read what they said. That's the beginnings of feminism. And then black feminism in the 60s taught black women they don't need no man. That's what it taught them. Sisters are doing it for themselves. All this kind of craziness. All the affirmative action and all this kind of stuff that was meant for black people, they gave it to everybody else except for black people. Everybody else got affirmative action except for black people, the people it was meant for. You get me? So I would say especially black men, much more so than black women. Especially black men. You gotta take care of black men. Especially black men. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Movement needs to have an honest conversation about the anti-blackness in the Arab world. If they want true solidarity, it can't just be about asking black people for help when it's convenient. There has to be real work done to address anti-black attitudes and create genuine mutual support.
The topic of solidarity between black folks and Palestinians has existed since the inception of the State of Israel and the Nakba, and the issue of black and Palestinian liberation not only mirror each other but are inextricably linked in their histories. Support for the freedom of Palestinians has been an element of the Black Panther Party, of the Black Lives Matter movement, of the ending of apartheid in South Africa. Nelson Mandela, after his release from prison in 1990, embraced Yasser Arafat. In 1997, he said, "We know our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians." In the 1950s, Malcolm X was one of the first Black Americans to show support for the Palestinian cause and said Black Americans would show complete sympathy with the Arab cause. Several months before his assassination, he visited the Gaza Strip and was completely critical of Israel. The Black Panther Party considered Black Americans to be internally colonized and stated that Black Americans and Palestinians were essentially treated as third world peoples who were oppressed by colonialism and imperialism together. In more recent history, in 2014, in the Ferguson Uprising, Palestinians online showed support, expressed solidarity, and offered advice to protesters in Ferguson. And there were chants that gained prominence at this time. From Ferguson to Palestine, occupation is a crime. These liberation movements have been linked for decades. And this is one of the first times that we're seeing such a divide where we're being told that our values don't align with one another, and that is not the case.
Look, it's not that Black Americans don't feel for Palestinians. Many of them understand oppression and colonialism all too well. They know what it's like to have history erased, to be displaced, and to fight against systems designed to keep them down. So yes, they empathize with the suffering in Gaza, but at the same time, it is not Black people's responsibility to fight every battle, especially when historically, Black struggles have often been overlooked or dismissed by the same communities asking for their help now.
Exactly. Exactly what she said. I was going to say something, but when she started talking there, I just let her ride. You get me? Like she mentioned all of the Black folks, all the Black organizations standing up for Palestinians, right? Can anybody name the Palestinian groups or the Palestinian personalities that stood up for Black folks? Okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. You find Black people always stand up for oppressed people at any place, at any time, anywhere, always, because we know what it is. Just to have, not necessarily her, because the sister, she needs to be like well-meaning, the sister, Palestinian sister who spoke. She seems to be well-meaning, and we definitely, we accept that, right? We accept that. However, besides Dr. Omar Suleiman, who I have much respect for because he stands for Black people. So forget what you heard, right? Do y'all? I'm trying to think about the top of my head. I can't think of a single Palestinian individual or group that has served for black causes like that. And it's not just Palestinians. It's not just Palestinians. I remember when the Bosnian War broke out, Black people were sticking up for the Bosnians. I remember the Chechen War broke out, Black people were sticking up for the Chechens. I remember when the Iraq War, you name it. You name it. Just name, the Vietnam War. You got all kinds of Black songs and stuff. You remember that song War? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say no game. That's about that stuff, right? It's Black folk. It's Black folk, family. We was doing that. It was us who was doing that. Michael Jackson, Heal the World, all that kind of stuff. We're just not seeing it reciprocated. And the generation that's coming up, they ain't about to do another 100, 200 year bid of helping everybody's cause at the expense of their own. If you're not gonna, all these things that other folks benefit from, that is from the work of Black people, from the direct work and blood and sweat of Black people that y'all benefit from, right? You don't reciprocate any of that. You just take advantage of it. That's what the problem is. So when Black folks are saying, we gonna set this one out, you shouldn't get mad. You should not get mad, because you should have been there during civil rights. You should have been there during the war on drugs. You should have been there during mass incarceration. You should have been there, during George Floyd. And you shouldn't have been selling us loose cigarettes and pork and alcohol in the communities. You shouldn't have been doing that. That's what it is today. You're not going to shame us into supporting things that we're not interested in supporting. Over here, we're not going to stop, of course, supporting Palestine, because, it's definitely a cause worth supporting. But we are letting you know that if you lose support, you have nobody to blame but yourselves, because you are out here talking wild. Talk about you're going to vote for Trump and stuff. You are signaling to people that supported you don't want their support, where you do crazy stuff like that. You want to support Donald Trump? Go to him and get support then. That's who you voted for. He is a very clear, open enemy. Very clear. Nobody can doubt the clearness of his eneminess. Okay? And you still voted for him. So what do you want us to do now? We can't help you. That's what it looked like. You get me? That's what it looked like. You will support somebody who was just a very open enemy, not just to Muslim, but to black people. To stop a war. Like the dude said earlier, I'll vote for Satan. Well, you did. You did vote for Satan.
Now, MAGA Arabs made their choice. They believed Trump when he said he'd deliver a ceasefire. They ignored his long history of Islamophobia and racism. Now, they're watching the consequences unfold in real time. It's unfortunate, but it's a lesson in political reality. Trump was never on their side, and Black Americans saw it from the start. Moving forward, if true solidarity is to exist, it has to go both ways. Otherwise, Black people have every right to look out for themselves first, and that's just the truth. Otherwise, that's it from me. What is your opinion on this matter? Please drop a comment.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be doing too, right? That's been our position on the features, regardless. You know what I mean? And then we hope that the generation coming up, that's exactly how they start looking at it, because we are learning the mistakes of our predecessors. You know what I mean? You have no allies. And the thing that you have allies is ludicrous. When you find allies that are actual real allies, then you keep them. You know what I mean? But if you find people who are, unnecessarily hostile, then you treat them with the way that they deserve to be treated. But anyways, family, may Allah reward you and bless you and multiply multiply everything for you many times. Following Allah reward and bless Sister Tika for the $5 super chat. I mean, everybody say I mean in the chat. May Allah reward you, bless you, multiply it for you a millionfold. All right, don't forget you can support on PayPal, Patreon, buy me a coffee, and we'll see you again, inshallah. Subhanallah, hamdik, wa shadal ent, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And free the land, beloved, free the land, free the land, free the land. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.